all started for a battle when the world is ravaged by the corona pandemic. India kindly agreed to play a series with Australia, and Australia were keen to take back the Border Gavaskar Trophy. Alan Border and Sunil Gavaskar, both of them the pioneer old players who kept the tradition between Australia and India going. And last couple of times in Australia and India, India won the series, but now they have to face an uphill battle against the Australian team that is determined to take the trophy back by hook or crook. So, the Indian team was asked to quarantine to ensure that they are in a bio bubble, and the mind games and intimidation started from then on. They said you have to quarantine, but you can't practice. And then they said even if you practice, you will have to maintain all the pandemic related conditions. So, this war, that is a Kurukshetra war, started from there. There were 4 test matches, but before that there were T20 and one-day matches. Even though Australia won the the one-day series, India eventually ended up winning a match with a scoreline of 2-1. But when it came to T20 matches, even though they could have easily won the last match, they still ended up 2-1, so the honours were even after one day and T20. But the Australians obviously want the prize possession of Border Gavaskar Trophy, so they decided to use the Bodyline. But before that, since Kohli was there, they were afraid. In Adelaide, one fine day, Kohli was in a hurry to go home, and Indian team collapsed like a pack of cards and got all out for 36. And then Virat ran to the airport. So who will save the team after that? Rahane, the vice captain, was given the charge, but there were no hopes because 36 was one of the lowest scores, and everyone were ridiculing Indian team for that. But eventually, Rahane scored a century, but his captaincy was brilliant with tactics, even though there was bodyline bowling and a few injuries here and there. India easily won the match after making sure that in first innings Australia scored 195 only. After that win, Australians were shocked. So the third match in Sydney, they really attacked India. They put the runs on board and went for bodyline attack. And India were really struggling before. Ravi Jadeja and other players tried their best to resurrect the first innings. But despite that, they ended up chasing 400 to win. But then came the spirit which shocked Australia. India was nearly winning when Pant was there and playing well. But eventually it ended up in a draw after 60 overs of injured players, Ashwin and Anumavihari playing out the bodyline bowling and facing the sledging, and with the bowlers facing the racial abuse too. But one fine point that stood up was the Indians were task focused in both the bowling as well as in batting, and that resulted in a draw which was a moral victory. The Sydney draw really gave charge for the Gabbashethra battle, and then India turned up with lots of sledging going on, with even Mitchell Stark's wife, who is a cricketer, Alisha Ely, saying Indians are very scared of coming to Gaba, and they are not good enough. So when India finally landed up there, and in the first innings ended up at 186 for 6, facing the Bodyline bowling, everyone thought they were down and out. But then came Washington Sundar and Shardul Thakur, who batted like opening batsmen and took the score of India closer to Australian score. This really scared the Australian team, where in Gaba they never lost, and their dreams was to keep the Border Gavaskar trophy, but also make sure that they get more points for World Test Championship. But on the final day, they sent the ball hunting towards the body of Indian batsman. Chetan Pujara received a 10, if not a dozen, injuries, but two players stood out when all the brunt of injuries were taken by Pujara. They were Shubman Gill and Rishabh Pant. They just continued to bat and bat and bat despite all the tactics used by Australian rats. And eventually, very close to the end of the day, in a thrilling finish, India won. And that's how the Battle of Gabbashethra was won. So the Battle of Gabbashethra clearly showed that it's a big war and every battle had to be won. And Australia had the best bowling attack, the home advantage, all facilities in the ground, not much of quarantine. Their best batsmen Smith and Warner returning to the team. However, with all the strengths they had, India had only one Arjuna in Rahane, who was well guided by the Krishna and Ravi Sastri, and both of them led to the Holy War. Both of them led the Holy War to lead to a victory, and that victory led to a scoreline of 2-1. And for the first time, India won two consecutive series in Australia by the score of 2-1. And that win in the battle is the win of Dharma over Adharma. So this is definitely a modern Mahabharata. It also raises the spirit of the whole country, and we should look forward to other great series, that is India and England, starting from February 5. But the Gabbashethra battle has really shocked Australia. They wanted to snatch the Border Gavaskar trophy, but ended up with only a t-shirt for Lion and shouts of Ashwin and Ashwin for Tim Payne. They are in deep pain, but I hope the people who followed Dharma, that is the Indians, wouldn't mind. So the bodyline bowling and all the intimidation and all the bad strategies didn't work, and the war was won with lots of pain tolerance in all the four battles. And let's hope that this win for Dharma continues.